Across the vast reaches of the galaxy, the Zelrathian Dominion was known for its unmatched power and relentless ambition. Its fleets had never met a world it could not bend to their will. From distant stars to forgotten moons, planets had fallen under their control, sometimes through negotiation, but more often through sheer demonstration of their advanced technologies and numbers. Now, the Dominion's eyes were set on Earth, a small blue and green planet in the Sol system. Its inhabitants had long been dismissed by interstellar observers as a minor species, bound by their fragile atmosphere and unpredictable surface conditions. To the Zelrathians, Earth seemed an insignificant challenge. They planned to subdue it swiftly, adding another jewel to their expanding empire. The flagship of the fleet, the Ecliptic Sovereign, led the armada of 9,900 ships through the darkness of space. Each vessel was a marvel of engineering, packed with sensors, communication arrays, and advanced propulsion systems designed for rapid deployment. The scale was staggering. From massive command cruisers to smaller support craft, the armada stretched across the void like a constellation of steel stars. Within the Ecliptic Sovereign's command bridge, Admiral Velen gazed at the holographic projection of Earth, her fingers gently brushing the console as the planet rotated slowly beneath the shimmering blue. Her confidence was unshakable. "They will surrender," she said quietly, her voice steady. "There is no force here that can oppose us." Back on Earth, the story was quite different. Earth's leaders had known for months about the approaching fleet. This was no ordinary threat. It was unprecedented. Scientists, engineers, diplomats, and thinkers from every corner of the world had been working together in unprecedented collaboration. The old divisions that had once defined humanity, nations, ideologies, even languages, had melted away under the urgency of the moment. In the secretive halls of the Global Defense Coalition, the Central Command Center buzzing with activity, Dr. Maya Chen studied data streams pouring in from deep space sensors. "They're arriving faster than our projections," she announced, her eyes scanning the constantly updating figures. But even as tension filled the room, her voice carried a hint of optimism. "But they don't understand us yet. They don't know what Earth has become." What the Dominion fleet had not anticipated was the quiet revolution happening on Earth. Over decades, humans had developed adaptive technologies blending artificial intelligence, environmental science, and decentralized communication networks. Instead of relying on sheer force, Earth had created layers of defenses built on creativity and unity. Satellites orbiting Earth were not just passive sentinels. They were part of a living network, continuously learning and adapting. Ground stations hidden deep within mountains could control weather patterns subtly to confuse incoming ships. Autonomous drones, invisible to most sensors, could change shape and function to suit any challenge. As the Armada entered the outer solar system, Earth's defense systems began to stir. Data streams from millions of sensors converged on a single command center, ready to protect the planet not by firepower, but by ingenuity. The stage was set for a confrontation unlike any the galaxy had ever witnessed, one where determination and intelligence would become the greatest weapons of all. As the immense Zelrathian fleet drifted closer to Earth, the invaders prepared to make their presence known. Yet, instead of the expected volley of commands, the first signals they received from the planet were not threats or demands for surrender. Instead, a complex cascade of signals filled their communications channels, cryptic patterns that defied immediate interpretation. On the bridge of the Ecliptic Sovereign, Admiral Velen frowned as her communications officers scrambled to decode the mysterious transmissions. The signals pulsed rhythmically, layered in fractal-like patterns that seemed more like art than language. "What is this?" she asked, her tone reflecting a rare note of curiosity. Thousands of miles away, within Earth's Global Defense Coalition, a diverse team of linguists, mathematicians, and computer scientists worked side by side in a specially constructed chamber known as the Communication Nexus. Dr. Maya Chen watched as their AI-driven decoders sifted through the waves of data, piecing together the elaborate structure behind the signals. "This isn't just a message," She explained to the gathered team. It's a demonstration, a kind of language puzzle. They want to see if we understand their intent before they take any further action. Earth's response was clear. Humanity was willing to communicate, but only on terms that respected their sovereignty and intelligence. The message conveyed a calm yet firm declaration that Earth's inhabitants cherished their freedom and would protect it, not with weapons alone, but with their creativity, determination, and unity. Back aboard the Zelrathian flagship, the fleet's senolinguist, Kelter, had never encountered anything like this. "It's beautiful," he murmured, eyes wide with wonder. The signals blended mathematical precision with artistic expression, a tapestry of sound and light that challenged every assumption he had about communication with lesser species. Intrigued by the unexpected approach, Admiral Velen authorized a carefully crafted reply, one that acknowledged the message without escalating tensions. The fleet's communication systems modulated their transmissions, echoing Earth's patterns with subtle variations that conveyed respect and openness to dialogue. This exchange marked a turning point. The Zelrathians, who had prepared for a swift conquest, found themselves drawn into a silent dialogue across the stars, an intricate dance of signals and responses that transcended mere words. On Earth, the response inspired a renewed sense of hope and determination. People across continents followed the unfolding interaction, united by the knowledge that their message was reaching distant worlds not through threats or weapons, but through the language of understanding and respect. Meanwhile, the Zelrathian crews began to question the simplicity of their original mission. Here was a species that refused to bend under pressure, instead inviting engagement through intellect and empathy. Their confidence mingled with a growing curiosity. Could this be an opportunity? An opening to something far greater than domination? As the fleet continued its slow approach, both sides prepared for what would come next, not with weapons, but with minds open to challenge, cooperation, and discovery. The encounter was no longer just an invasion. It had become a first contact unlike any before. The Zelrathian fleet pressed deeper into Earth's neighborhood, expecting the next phase of their conquest to begin. But instead of facing straightforward resistance, they encountered something unexpected. Challenges that resembled intricate puzzles rather than battles. Earth's defenses were unlike any conventional system. Instead of relying on overwhelming force, the planet's protectors had engineered a dynamic network of adaptive technologies, complex and ever-evolving. As ships entered Earth's orbit, they found themselves trapped in a web of shifting data patterns and environmental shifts that defied their standard tactical responses. The ecliptic sovereign's sensor arrays began to detect anomalies, patterns in the electromagnetic spectrum that twisted and turned like labyrinths. Every attempt to analyze or disrupt the system was met with a clever countermeasure, changing before they could fully understand it. The fleet's engineers and strategists found themselves locked in a game of intellect, one that demanded creativity, patience, and humility. On Earth, Dr. Maya Chen and her team observed the fleet's responses with growing fascination. "This is more than defense," she explained during a global broadcast watched by millions. "It's a conversation, a challenge posed to those who seek to understand Earth. We are inviting them to join in our spirit of innovation." Ships found their navigation systems were routed through fluctuating gravitational fields generated by satellite arrays disguised as constellations. Communication channels filled with encoded fractal messages that required real-time decoding to unlock further progress. The fleet's AI struggled to keep pace, adapting but never quite mastering the intricacies. Admiral Velen convened her senior staff. "We anticipated resistance, but not this. They're not trying to destroy us. They want to test us, to see if we can think beyond the rules of war." Her voice carried both frustration and admiration. "We must adapt." Meanwhile, on board smaller ships, the Zelrathian crews began to experience moments of awe. Some found themselves captivated by Earth's art broadcast through the puzzles. Glimpses of music, poetry, and imagery woven into the digital defenses. The puzzles became a mirror reflecting humanity's creativity back at them. Across Earth's surface, people followed the unfolding encounter with rapt attention. Schools incorporated lessons on logic and problem-solving, inspired by the real-time events. Artists and engineers collaborated on new designs influenced by the patterns emerging from space. It was a moment of global unity and inspiration. As the fleet gradually decoded and moved through Earth's defenses, it became clear that this was more than a test of technology. It was a trial of respect and understanding. The invaders' confidence shifted from certainty of conquest to cautious curiosity. Could they learn from Earth's ingenuity? Could this be the start of something different? The stage was set for a new kind of encounter, one where minds, rather than weapons, would decide the future. As the Zelrathian fleet advanced beyond Earth's orbital defenses, they prepared to enter the planet's atmosphere, a critical step in their invasion plan. Yet, what they encountered was unlike any atmospheric entry they had experienced before. Earth's atmosphere was no mere barrier. It was a living, shifting enigma, shaped by millennia of natural evolution, and now enhanced with human innovation. From the ecliptic Sovereign's Bridge, sensors recorded phenomena that seemed almost impossible. Layers of magnetic fields weaving intricate patterns, clouds that refracted and scattered signals unpredictably, and weather systems subtly manipulated to create shifting corridors and obstacles. It was as if the atmosphere itself were a vast, intelligent guardian, an invisible maze designed not to crush invaders, but to puzzle and deter them. On Earth, teams of meteorologists, physicists, and environmental engineers monitored the fleet's progress with quiet satisfaction. "We've created an atmospheric shield that confuses and redirects," explained Dr. Chen during a press briefing. "It's a dance of nature and technology working together. Our way of protecting Earth without destruction." The fleet's advanced instruments struggled to keep pace. Ships found their navigation systems repeatedly forced to recalibrate, as the magnetic fields shifted like living brushstrokes across the sky. Signals bounced unpredictably, and communications became erratic, as if Earth's atmosphere was playing with the very essence of their technology. The Zelrathian captains realized that brute force or straightforward maneuvers were futile here. Instead, they needed patience, observation, and adaptability. Slowly, crews began to record and study the patterns, looking for order within the apparent chaos. Meanwhile, below the swirling skies, Earth's ground-based systems assisted the atmosphere's defense by subtly influencing wind currents and ion streams. Networks of drones, designed to blend seamlessly with clouds, adjusted the environment in real time, creating dynamic weather puzzles that changed every hour. One young engineer on Earth, Anaya Patel, described the experience like a symphony. "It's not just science, it's art. The atmosphere sings a song of protection, inviting those who listen to join in its rhythm." For the Zelrathians, this atmospheric challenge was more than a tactical obstacle. It was a revelation. They had never encountered a world where the very air was a partner in defense, a living system that demanded respect and understanding rather than domination. As days passed, the fleet's approach slowed. Some ships turned away, overwhelmed by the complexity and unpredictability. The 17 ships that would later be the ones to retreat had already begun to question their mission. Could Earth's defenses be overcome? Or was this planet's strength something far beyond their initial understanding? On Earth, the people watched the skies not with fear, but with hope. They knew their home was unique, not because of weapons, but because of the harmony between nature and technology, and the creativity of its inhabitants. The atmosphere's challenge was a reminder. Earth did not need to fight to protect itself. It only needed to be itself. While the Zelrathian fleet wrestled with the enigmatic defenses above, a quieter yet profound interaction was unfolding closer to Earth's surface. A small contingent of exploration vessels, cautious and curious, hovered just beyond the thick clouds. Instead of the expected hostile forces, they were met with something altogether different: an invitation to understand. On Earth, teams of engineers had prepared a unique response. Drones and autonomous machines designed not for attack, but for communication and connection. These craft, sleek and versatile, emerged silently from hidden bays, weaving patterns in the sky, broadcasting visual art, melodies, and messages crafted from the rich tapestry of human culture. From their observation decks, the Zelrathian crews watched in awe as the drones painted vivid scenes against the horizon. Images of Earth's diverse landscapes, portraits of its peoples, and expressions of hope and unity. Music accompanied the visuals, melodies that ranged from the haunting calls of whales to the rhythmic pulse of drums. It was a performance, a language of emotion and creativity transcending words. One Zelrathian scientist, Lurax, found herself captivated. She had trained in many disciplines, but this was unlike any communication she had encountered. "They are sharing their souls with us," she whispered, her voice barely audible through the comm system. Not to intimidate, but to invite. On the ground, Dr. Maya Chen watched the unfolding exchange with a mixture of excitement and relief. "This is the heart of humanity," she told her team. "Our strength isn't just in our technology, but in our ability to connect, to share our stories, our dreams, our fears. We show them who we are, not as enemies, but as fellow travelers in the universe." The drones adapted in real time, responding to subtle signals from the Zelrathian ships. When a ship sent back a pattern of light, Earth's machines replied with a new melody or image, turning the skies into a canvas of interstellar dialogue. This dance of expression fascinated both sides, creating an unexpected bond born of curiosity and respect. Among the Zelrathian fleet, this connection sparked a quiet revolution of thought. Some began to question their mission, not with defiance, but with wonder. Could there be a path beyond conquest? Could these humans, with their rich culture and resilient spirit, become allies rather than subjects? Back on Earth, people around the world tuned in to live broadcasts of the celestial exchange. It became a moment of shared pride and hope, a reminder that even in the face of the unknown, humanity's greatest weapon was its ability to inspire and unite. As the first tangible connections formed, the fleet hesitated. The simple act of sharing art and story had shifted the narrative. What had started as an invasion now felt like the first chapter of a new story, one written not with weapons, but with understanding. The delicate exchange of culture and curiosity between Earth and the Zelrathian fleet grew deeper with each passing day. What had begun as an invasion was evolving into something unexpected, a dialogue, a bridge built not with weapons, but with shared knowledge and respect. On board the Ecliptic Sovereign, Admiral Velen found herself confronting new questions. The initial certainty of swift victory had given way to a complex reality. The humans, through their ingenuity and openness, had shifted the dynamic entirely. Velen called for a council of her senior officers and scientists, determined to explore what this meant for their mission. "It's no longer about domination," said Keltar, the fleet's chief xenolinguist. "They're inviting us to learn, to cooperate. Their defenses were never meant to destroy, only to challenge. We must consider a new approach." Back on Earth, Dr. Maya Chen and her team received an unexpected message, a carefully encoded proposal from the Zelrathians. It suggested a joint experiment, a collaboration blending Zelrathian technology with Earth's own adaptive systems to explore the limits of their combined capabilities. The proposal sparked a debate around the globe. Some were cautious, wary of the invaders' true intentions. Others saw a historic opportunity. After careful deliberation, the leaders of Earth agreed to the experiment, not as a sign of surrender, but as a demonstration of confidence in humanity's ability to engage peacefully and creatively. The chosen site for the collaboration was a remote orbital station, a neutral ground hovering above the planet's atmosphere. Engineers, scientists, and diplomats from both species gathered, eager to begin. What followed was a remarkable process of discovery. Earth's decentralized AI networks blended with the Zelrathian fleet's advanced computational systems, creating new forms of adaptive technology neither side had envisioned alone. The combined efforts refined defenses, improved environmental controls, and opened new channels of communication. Beyond technology, this cooperation sparked cultural exchange on an unprecedented scale. Stories, art, and philosophies flowed freely between the two peoples, each fascinated by the other's history and perspective. The Zelrathians, once convinced of their superiority, found themselves humbled and inspired by humanity's resilience and creativity. For many aboard the fleet, the experiment transformed their view of Earth from a target to a partner. They began sharing their own stories of exploration, survival, and hope, adding new layers to the growing tapestry of understanding. As weeks turned into months, the relationship between Earth and the Zelrathians shifted dramatically. The armada that had once sought to conquer was now a fleet of explorers, collaborators, and friends. The 17 ships that remained near Earth were no longer invaders but emissaries, eager to continue this new journey together. On Earth, people celebrated the unprecedented alliance. It was proof that even in the face of overwhelming odds, empathy and cooperation could rewrite the future. The turning point had arrived, not through force, but through a shared commitment to discovery and respect. With the Zelrathian fleet no longer an invading force, but a coalition of curious minds, Earth and its new allies embarked on a journey unlike any before. The Armada's remaining ships, now redefined as explorers and partners, began working side by side with humanity's scientists, engineers, and dreamers. The orbital station, once a neutral meeting ground, became a bustling hub of collaboration. Together, humans and Zelrathians developed new propulsion technologies, blending the Zelrathians' mastery of energy manipulation with Earth's adaptive AI systems. This fusion opened possibilities for journeys farther and faster than either species had imagined. In classrooms around the world, children studied the joint discoveries, inspired by the vision of a universe where differences became strengths rather than reasons for conflict. Schools introduced lessons on Zelrathian culture, language, and history, fostering a generation eager to explore and understand. Among the Zelrathian crews, a transformation unfolded as well. Many shared tales of their homeworld's struggles and triumphs, stories that resonated with humanity's own history of perseverance. Bonds formed over shared passions, art, music, philosophy, creating friendships that bridged species and cultures. Admiral Velen, once a symbol of conquest, had become a champion of unity. She often spoke at conferences, emphasizing that the greatest victories came not from domination, but from collaboration. "We have learned that true strength lies in openness," she said. Earth did not surrender. It offered partnership, and in doing so, it has shown us a future worth striving for. Together, the coalition set its sights beyond the solar system. New missions were planned to explore distant star systems, seeking knowledge and connection rather than conquest. The combined armada, equipped with innovations born from cooperation, symbolized hope for countless worlds still untouched by contact. Yet, the journey was not without challenges. Differences in physiology, communication, and customs required patience and understanding. Missteps occasionally occurred, but the shared commitment to respect and dialogue ensured that each obstacle became a lesson rather than a barrier. Back on Earth, the planet itself seemed to respond to this new era. Environmental restoration projects accelerated with Zelrathian technologies aiding in healing damaged ecosystems. The planet's atmosphere, once a formidable defense, became a symbol of harmony between nature and technology. Communities celebrated the alliance through festivals, blending Earth's diverse cultures with Zelrathian traditions. Music and art flourished, reflecting a new narrative, one of unity across the stars. As the joint fleet prepared for its first voyage beyond known space, a sense of wonder and possibility filled hearts across both species. The legacy of the 9,900 ships that once sought to invade Earth had transformed into a story of 17 ships that returned, not in defeat, but as pioneers of peace. The universe awaited, vast and mysterious. Together, Earth and the Zelrathians would explore it, not as conquerors, but as companions in the endless journey of discovery. Years had passed since the fateful day when 9,900 Zelrethian ships had set their sights on Earth. Of those, only 17 had returned, not as invaders defeated, but as emissaries transformed. Their journey had rewritten the story of two civilizations, forging a legacy far beyond the reach of weapons or conquest. The ecliptic sovereign, now a symbol of unity rather than dominance, hovered in Earth's orbit as a beacon of the new era. On board, Admiral Velen reflected on the incredible path they had traveled. The mission she once led with certainty had evolved into a shared quest for knowledge, respect, and mutual growth. Earth had blossomed in ways no one could have predicted. The alliance with the Zelrathians had unlocked technologies that healed the planet's wounds, revived ecosystems, and advanced humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Cities gleamed with sustainable energy, and communication networks wove together distant continents with unprecedented speed and harmony. More than technology, the true triumph was the transformation of hearts and minds. Humans and Zelrathians had built bridges that spanned cultures, histories, and worlds. They had discovered that the greatest strength lay not in overpowering others, but in embracing their differences and learning from them. Across Earth, memorials honored the day the fleet arrived, not as reminders of fear, but as celebrations of courage and curiosity. Schools, museums, and communities told the story of the 9,900 ships, the 17 that returned, and the generations they inspired. In classrooms, children studied the rich tapestry of this shared history, understanding that peace was not a given, but a choice, a continuous effort of empathy, creativity, and dialogue. The alliance became a cornerstone of education, reminding all that every new encounter held the potential for growth. The Zelrathian crews who stayed with Earth found new homes among the stars they once sought to conquer. They raised families, contributed to science and art, and celebrated festivals that blended traditions from both worlds. Their presence was a living testament to the power of transformation. Together, the human Zelrathian coalition launched expeditions beyond the solar system, exploring the vast unknown with wonder and humility. Each mission carried the legacy of Earth's welcome, a promise to approach the cosmos not as conquerors, but as seekers and friends. Admiral Velen often spoke at gatherings across planets, sharing the lessons learned. Our greatest victory, she said, was not in battle, but in choosing to understand rather than destroy. The legacy we leave is one of hope, a future where differences unite us, and the stars belong to all. As the sun set over Earth's horizon, the sky filled with stars, the same stars that once watched the fleet arrive in fear. Now they witnessed a new chapter, written by two species who dared to turn an invasion into an invitation. The story of 9,900 ships and the 17 that returned would be told for generations, a testament to the power of empathy, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a symbol that even in the vastness of space, the light of understanding could shine brightest.